And the last dance has aired, and everything makes sense now, PFT. We obviously are going to go through episodes 9 and 10, but at the absolute last part of the last dance, it talks about how, MJ retires, Pippen gets traded, everyone going away, Phil Jackson leaves, and then it goes with, and the Bulls started their rebuild. And it dawned on me, watching that last 10 minutes, I think the reason why the Bulls have been doomed ever since is because the Bulls are actually on Michael Jordan's list now too. If you watch that last moment when he has the iPad, like finding out why Reinsdorf said they should break up the team, I think he is now. I think the Bulls are the top. It goes Bulls and then Isaiah Thomas on MJ's shit list. And anyone who ends up on MJ's shit list, as we learned through this 10-part documentary, is screwed forever.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at the teams that he's associated himself with. They're all in the Eastern Conference after he left the Bulls. You got the Wizards, and then you got Charlotte. And so, yeah, I don't think that MJ considers himself Bull for life. I think that he considers that team that he played on like the epitome of the Bulls. But, yeah, he obviously does not have any love for that organization whatsoever. But, damn, it was awesome. And I don't know if I'm saying that the documentary was awesome because there's absolutely nothing going on in sports, and it was like moderately captivating. But the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, however long it's been, has been as close as I've gotten to feeling like I'm watching a sport since they went away in March.
It was a great ending. I thought actually the Steve Kerr section was one of the best parts of the entire documentary. I think a lot of people, just judging by the timeline, didn't even know the story about his dad being assassinated. But then the connection of MJ losing his dad, Steve Kerr losing his dad, them not talking about it, but then getting to that game-winning shot in Game 6 of the 97 finals. Like, that was so well done. The watching, like, the biggest story of that last season and MJ talking about like his ability to control a game with his mind and guile. It's incredible because it really is like he wasn't the same guy. He wasn't, jumping over people. He wasn't the guy before baseball that was just, athletic freak and superior in everything when it comes to a basketball court. He had to use some of like the smarts and the angles. And, if you remember watching him, like the pump fakes and the post game and just using every single bag in his tricks to get that team to a 6th championship. It was awesome to watch. Great documentary. Some great moments. And you're right. I'm going to miss it on Sunday nights.
Reggie Miller finally making an appearance was something that I think we've all been waiting for. I thought that the biggest card that MJ could have played in this documentary is just never including anything about those Pacers teams. And for a little bit, I thought that they just weren't going to talk about him at all. And they did gloss over those Pacers teams a little bit. But the second that I knew that there was a difference between Reggie Miller and Michael Jordan was in this documentary when Reggie Miller said, when you get to Game 7, you just throw away your game plan entirely because it's all about who wants it more in a Game 7. And it's like, that's exactly what somebody who loses a Game 7 says. Like, yeah, the whole, like, they wanted it more and you don't have a game plan. Michael Jordan wanted you to think that they didn't have a game plan. Michael Jordan absolutely had a game plan in that Game 7. And Reggie glossed over the push-off that he had, which, I mean, that's fair. That was a little Kyle Rudolph moment where he just he gave him the shove.
The dance after, too, the all-time Reggie Miller is just a little twerp. But, yeah, MJ said they were going to win that Game 7 beforehand. He guaranteed it, and there was actually an awesome story that Zach Lowe did, like a little story behind that series. And he had an anecdote from Phil Jackson saying Phil Jackson said to the players before Game 7, he said the important thing is to not fear losing and to embrace the idea you could lose, face that. But before he could get started, MJ just said, "Fuck that, Phil. We're not losing." Put our hands in the middle, said 1, 2, 3 Bulls, and went home. That was the pregame speech of like Phil Jackson being like, "Hey guys, you have to have the fear of losing in your heart." And MJ's like, "No, dude, we're not gonna fucking lose."
In an homage to the documentary itself, I'm gonna jump around for 1 second and go fast forward to the '98 series, and then we can go back and talk about other stuff. But the alleged push off that he had on that shot when there was 6.6 seconds left when the ball's in the air in Game 6, I think this documentary changed my mind. I no longer think that it was a foul that he pushed off.
No, it wasn't. Well, it definitely wasn't a foul. It definitely wasn't a foul in '90s NBA because Reggie Miller's push off, and I saw people were getting mad at me because I was complaining about the Reggie Miller push off. He was a full on shove. Mm-hmm. Like MJ had some contact, but if you see the reverse angle, so the reverse angle can show that he really didn't push him; he guided him. And in that NBA, in the 90s NBA, that's never called a foul.
I think that Jordan's been sitting on that reverse angle footage for just the right time. Like when LeBron makes his move out to the West Coast, gets in Los Angeles, looks like he's putting together a good team. He's like, okay, I'm going to drop this documentary just so I can drop this one angle that no one's ever really seen that makes it look like I did not push off Byron Russell. Which now I totally believe it. He did not push him off. But with Reggie Miller, you also have to take into account that Reggie Miller, in that moment when he pushed off, he looked like he could probably bench press like Kevin Durant amounts.
It's true.
Right? So if he pushed off, that's like a fly landing on an elephant's ass.
I'm taking my anger at the push off more. It's more my anger at the dance when he just started twirling around and like that one. Reggie Miller's a twerp. And so the Brian Russell push off, alleged push off, which wasn't a push off, that last 40 seconds is so incredible when you look at it. Like the fact that no Bull touched the ball after MJ gets the ball inbounded from Scotty, goes right to the hoop within like 5 seconds, scores, then strips Karl Malone, then brings the ball up, then shoots the game-winning shot. No one else touched the ball. That was it. It was like, this is it. This is my moment. This is the absolute pinnacle of everything. Rodman even said it, like, he's fucking shooting. I'm going to get under the basket. There's no chance he's not shooting.
He started walking.
Yeah. And Pippen was, like, they actually did a really good job in the documentary. Like, Pippen was not – it's actually – there were two moments that, you know, and there's always these debates about today's NBA versus the NBA 20 years ago. Two moments that strike you and you're like, okay, this is so different. One was when they were all doing the half court shot, or not the half court shot, the shot from like the timeout spot on the bench before one of the finals games, and they were all airballing it.
It was all short misses, yeah.
These are layups for Steph Curry. And MJ finally hits it, but the entire team misses it before. And that was the first one. And the second one is Scottie Pippen being like an absolute shell of himself in that game, and the Jazz not figuring out a way to just like punish him. Like that would be, they would just switch on, like they would basically run everything at him all game long and make it so that he can't be on the court. Like you can't just be a decoy on the court.
Right,
because the NBA back then was just slower, and it was like a rock fight, and the ball was being walked up, and it just wasn't the same game. So those were the two moments where I was like, yep, okay, totally different game.
He was a decoy. If you want to talk about like getting a suspect big sausage pizza delivered to your place the night before, Pippen was playing like he got his back blown out in that game and was just like hobbling up and down the court. Like he had his hand on his lower back, and like the entire time, every shot that you saw was Scotty like grimacing. I think it's a big indictment of Jerry Sloan's ability to know when your opponent is physically in pain. Like he didn't know that Jordan had the flu or food poisoning, and he didn't know.
I feel like he did. I feel like he was playing coy.
That Scottie Pippen was on death's door in that game. Like, come on, Jerry. And this is a scene. Actually, like if social media was around then, you better believe that Jerry Sloan would have known about it. Would have known that there was stuff going on. Probably changed his game plan up a little bit. But yeah, he did not really have his finger on the pulse of the health of the other team.
And so the other things we had in this documentary, let's see, I had some notes down. Oh, the shit list was obviously Karl Malone MVP 97, which we knew. And they put the huge fucking like tarp poster board outside of the Delta Center, whatever it was called. And MJ sees that and is like, what the fuck, dude? Like you could twice in MJ's career, they gave the MVP to someone else just because there was voter fatigue, and both times he was like, okay, cool, you just made my shit list, I'm gonna be that much more motivated.
It was also hilarious after every defeat in those finals, they made a point of showing like Karl Malone and John Stockton had like little waiting areas that they would sit in to receive Michael Jordan. Like it was like, okay, you're gonna sit in this chair until Jordan comes by and shakes your hand and says good game. Like,
yes.
if I were them, fuck no, I'm not waiting around for Michael Jordan to shake my hand after he just beat me. Like, what? Why do I need to do that? And then Stockton's shorts were amazing, and they're coming back. I think that's a take I squatted on starting back in 2016, is at some point shorts are going to make their way back. I think they are. But one thing people don't talk enough about when it comes to John Stockton is his chest hair, his weirdly high chest. It's like neck hair. It's at the nape of his neck, and it looks like he's just got like some caterpillars crawling out of the top of his jersey. I don't know anybody else that grows hair right there. Maybe Brady.
Something we do not talk about enough with John Stockton.
I'd like to
talk
get
about it more.
Y'all ain't ready for that conversation.
You know what's crazy? That game 6 of the '98 finals with the shot and MJ finishing his career with the Bulls. That will forever be the most watched NBA game of all time. 35.89 million people were watching that game like concurrently. I think it was something like 90 million overall throughout the whole game. The closest it's ever been since then is 31 million for the Game 7 Golden State Cleveland. That's 4 million off. And that's a Game 7 of LeBron, versus a historic team in Golden State. And think about the way TV has gone. It's going to keep getting more and more fractured. That will be the most watched NBA game of all time. It's crazy to think about that, but that's how popular it was. That's the peak of everything. It was funny because I was looking through all the TV ratings, and then I see, the Spurs versus the Cavs when the Spurs swept the Cavs and LeBron somehow got the Cavs team to the finals. 7 million people were watching that finals compared to 35 million watching this Game 7. It's just crazy to think about how popular MJ was and how captivated the entire country was that he can go away 20 years later. We can say that is still the most watched basketball game ever.
Even crazier is it really shows how popular Leo DiCaprio was, because despite all of that, when he came in the locker room, MJ was like, yo, thanks for coming, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. The Man in the Mask. I watched The Man in the Mask before the game. Yeah. Leo showing up at that point. What was Leonardo DiCaprio must be the most bored person in the world when he goes to Utah. What the fuck is he going to do out there? That's a major fly in, and then I'm going to Vegas to spend the night type move for him.
That was a pretty funny scene. It was just so random. What the hell is Leo doing in a UCLA hat?
And then afterwards,
to be a fan of either team.
After they win, they go to the hotel, and Jordan just gets on the piano, doesn't know how to play. That's how you know that no one can say shit to you, when you sit down at an instrument that you can't play and just bang on it for about 30 minutes, and everyone's leaning over listening to you play like you're Duke Ellington. Yeah,
holding court. And I also loved the part in the documentary about MJ and the security guards and, and Gus, who he was treated, was a second father to him. It really does speak to how insanely famous he is. And what happens to a lot of famous people is they just basically can only be friends with their immediate family and the security guards hired to protect them. And but you could tell it was a real friendship and it was a real relationship. And those scenes of just MJ sitting in that back room with all his security guards and Ahmad Rashad, who, by the way, was working as a journalist for NBC at the time, doing all the broadcasts. And it's just a great scene. It was cool to kind of see those moments where he was just hanging out in his extra large suits that were always so swaggy.
Dude, MJ's suit that he put on, I think it was after they beat the Pacers and he went for Larry Bird and he said fuck you or whatever.
Fuck
Larry
you,
Bird
bitch.
Larry Bird said fuck you, bitch, because he beat him. The suit he was wearing, the giant yellow tan suit that was from The Mask. That was the suit that Jim Carrey wore in the entire movie when he was doing swing dancing and all that bullshit. Jordan probably has the highest ratio of shitty fits to just career greatness of anybody in the modern era.
Well, it's crazy too because he's made some of the most iconic shoes and been part of the most iconic brand, with those shoes. And then, he had a deal with Oakley where he got to design his sunglasses. He was wearing those at the last parade. just the worst sunglasses you've ever seen. Like, the suits are insane. So he has this like specific ability to be incredible with shoes, and then everything else is just way off when it comes to fashion and an eye for design.
Right. I mean, that's what it's like. If you're famous enough at one thing, they'll let you try whatever you want in other realms, and people will tell you that you look good in it. But that suit, it looked like the tarp that they bring out to euthanize horses at the Kentucky Derby. That thing was actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of want to get it. It was like a 6-piece button-down, double-breasted deal. And then
tied past his dick. Yeah.
If we're going to talk about fits, we got to talk about Steve Kerr's cargo shorts. Because
which weren't cargo shorts. We screwed that up. You and I both tweeted that they weren't technically cargo shorts. So everyone relax. We get it. We saw it.
Anything can be cargo shorts if you can fit enough merchandise in them. And the pockets on those things, it was like a golf kilt. It looked like a skirt that he was wearing. And then he gets up on stage and he starts like roasting everybody and doing like a stand-up routine. That was one of the all-time great celebration speeches.
Steve Kerr's the man. Like, there's no one who doesn't like Steve Kerr. He is the man. And the fact that he's been part of all these iconic moments and all these iconic teams in NBA history, it's crazy. He's just the man. He's such a likable dude. And he's also one of those guys that when you hear him talk and you see an interview, it just always feels like you're learning something. That's also the biggest one of the biggest takeaways from this entire documentary. Obviously, people who either don't remember or didn't know, how great MJ was throughout the years, like that's a big takeaway for them. But he was so good storytelling and commanding just the camera on the one-on-one interviews. It's incredible. He and Scottie Pippen too. Scottie Pippen has one of the best voices ever. But like MJ's ability, his reactions, his just his storytelling, I thought was phenomenal, and it just enhanced the whole thing.
I was hoping that we would get some sort of explanation of how often he shaved his head, what his method was, because I never saw a single sprout of hair coming out of MJ's dome. He must have done like a straight razor, like he had to shave.
Kobe had a guy. Kobe had a guy.
But
Kobe had a guy.
MJ must have.
I think MJ.
That's a good point.
I think he shaved his head twice a day, because if you shave when you wake up at 8 a.m. and then you play at 8 p.m., you're going to have a 5 o'clock shadow. You're going to have some sort of wreath going on your head by that point. So he had to.
I don't think hair doesn't on your head doesn't grow that fast. On your face, it grows that fast.
But your head's part of your face.
Right, but like the hair on your head doesn't grow as fast as the hair on your face, I don't think.
I don't know. I think he probably shaved twice a day.
He might have. The other person who went viral was the Indiana Pacers woman screaming, who the twists of all twists is the mom of Luke.
Nope.
That's not true.
She was trolling.
Snopes. What does Snopes say about this?
What the hell? That would have been crazy if she was Luke Cornett's mom. So she was trolling everyone on the internet?
Yeah, she replied later on. It was like, that's not actually me. We just look alike.
She's like a newscaster in Nashville.
She went viral.
Yeah. Well, if she didn't go viral, then the name Karen went viral when she came out, because everyone was saying like, this person is sending 3 different entrees back and asking for the manager.
So she is Luke Cornett's mom. She pretended that was her. It wasn't her, which actually is kind of funny, because that's actually a really funny thing to play on like a trick on the internet, for the internet to see a white woman screaming and then another white blonde woman be like, "That was me." Everyone's like, "Yeah, it was." Fuck you.
She's practicing self-Karen.
Oh, unreal. That was a great moment, though. Any other things?
Well, let's talk about Dennis Rodman skipping practice after a finals game to go
NWO
join
for life.
NWO, and skipping practice to hang out with Hulk Hogan and hit people with folding chairs. That's the very definition of some things are bigger than sports. Let that shit slide. Not a jury in the world would convict you for doing something like that.
No, listen. The old saying, flags fly forever, banners fly forever. That's fine. NWO is for life. It's for life. So when you're in NWO, it's for life. So I do not begrudge him at all for doing that. Not an interesting guy, though.
It is crazy how the guys that allegedly
he went and fucking smacked Diamond Dallas Page with a chair in between game 3 and 4 of the finals.
It was amazing. What a fucking lunatic. Like you would think that if he was flying out of the Chicago airport and he's getting on a plane, there were probably like at least 15 or 20 people in that airport that were like, Dennis, where are you going? You can't leave. Just random people, random fans that happen to be in that airport. Like, Dennis, why are you leaving town? You can't leave town. He's like, no, I'm going down to Florida because I got to administer some justice with the New World Order.
No, it was in Michigan, so not too far. Right, so he gets a pass there.
It gave off big Florida vibes. You'll forgive me for assuming it was Tampa.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Hank?
Crazy that if the food poisoning thing is true, and I obviously believe it is because some of the people they shaped it that way, and the trainer that was there said it. It's crazy that none of those guys have come forward or like confirmed anything. You would think at some point someone would say something.
I have a theory about that. I just started like mulling around in my head when I was watching, but Bill Walton was a commentator in that series, which is crazy that Bill Walton and Marv Albert were on the same team together. But
no. On radio, it was Bob Costas. It was Bob Costas, Isaiah Thomas, and Doug Collins. It was NBC.
I absolutely heard Bill Walton in some of those clips.
He might have been doing radio, but Bob Costas. It was Bob Costas on TV.
Okay, so but Bill Walton was there, and my theory is that the pizza was meant for Bill, and it had psilocybin mushrooms on it, and that Jordan was just tripping balls during that game, not the flu.
He was tripping balls, not actually like puking everywhere.
Tripping balls, baby. He just couldn't. Some people can handle their psychedelics. Some people can't.
I kind of wish they had given us one of the classic Bob Costas like intros that he would do for NBC that always got you so jacked up. He would do his little soliloquy and then it would do the round ball rock. There was nothing better.
Yeah.
But Bob Costas did the thing where it was okay. So Bill Walton was a studio analyst. I'm looking it up right now.
Okay.
So yeah, the call was Doug Collins, Isaiah Thomas, Bob Costas. Bob Costas, MJ was so widely popular. He just called him Michael during the game. Like he would say Michael for two. Who does that? That's not. I mean, you could do it with LeBron because that's LeBron and that's a different, unique name. But he would the name Michael to be just the first. Like Kobe gets it because it's Kobe. Again, it's if you have a unique name, it's a little different. But for a name like Michael and just to keep saying like Michael for two, Michael for three, Michael with the rebound, it's hilarious to listen back to.
Yeah, it was very funny. Bob Costas and just in general, he needs to be a part of every documentary. I don't care what it's about. He just has a personality and just a way of speaking that makes it feels like he's always on camera and Ken Burns is always asking him questions.
All right, so any other thoughts? I mean, the ending obviously broke my heart because it's like they definitely would have won a seventh in my mind. That was the lockout year, so they would have had a lot of rest. They wouldn't have had to start for a long time. Like it would have been a different, it just wasn't. I think they played like 50 games, so it just wasn't the same toll that it took. And to hear MJ say like, yeah, you don't think all these guys would have come back for one? Now there were like Dennis Rodman was kind of shot at that point. Like he was kind of on the tail end or past the tail end. Pippen went and got paid a couple times, which he needed to get paid. But like, if they had brought it back for another year, it would be tough to think that anyone would have beaten them.
It's also easy to say right now. Like I guarantee you, everybody would have come back. Like who knows what would have happened?
No, Pippen would have been the hard one.
Pippen
would have been the one that's pretty much. He would have had to. MJ would have had to take a lot less, and Pippen would have had to get paid a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sad that we're not going to have that to talk about on Sundays anymore because it was a very good series. Even though it did jump around a whole lot, made me feel like I was a time traveler. That's the one qualm that I had about it. Also, is Michael Jordan married? They didn't talk.
Yes.
I don't think he's married right now.
Well, so I think the reason why they didn't talk about it was his wife. It was his wife throughout the 90s and had, the mother of the three grown children. They got divorced in the early 2000s, which is, I'm pretty sure Ahmad Rashad got divorced like right around the same time, which just shows how good of friends they are.
Yeah.
They're just like, let's get single together. And then he has a new wife who he has, I think, twins with, who's a lot younger. So I think that, I don't know, it's kind of tough. Like I agree, they probably should have. I would have liked to hear more from the kids the grown adult kids and, his wife at the time. But, yeah.
Or they're probably on his shit list, too. Like, his son that he named after himself is probably, like, on Michael Jordan's shit list for trying to upstage his dad by being named the same thing as him. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Jordan... You know how every dad at some point gets beaten by their kid and horse, and that changes the dynamic? I doubt that Michael Jordan will ever get beaten by his own children in anything.
No, definitely not.
And if he does, they're out of the will. But it is very funny to think about, like, Ahmad Rashad talking to Michael Jordan, and MJ's like, hey, I'm getting divorced. If you want to go Splitsville.
Yeah, let's
it's definitely the other way around.
What Ahmad Rashad convinced
MJ?
Oh,
yeah, no. That's what you're saying.
And Ahmad's like, yeah, this is going to be sick. This is going to be the best time of my life. And then they go hang out for a while, and it's just MJ slang, and Ahmad Rashad goes home to his hotel room every night alone.
By the way, just one point. MJ did not name either of his sons Michael Jordan, just so we're clear, because I do make fun of LeBron for naming his son LeBron James Jr. and then being like, I don't want anyone to know that he's my son.
He named
it. It's Jeffrey. He did the reverse of one of his sons. So he's Michael Jeffrey Jordan. He named his son Jeffrey Michael Jordan.
Got it.
Kind of a cool little twist.
Totally
I
different.
bet you one of them is like, he's like, why couldn't you just name me Michael Jordan? Like, it'd be so much better if I was just Michael Jordan Jr.
Yeah, you could at least market yourself a little bit. You definitely have a television career doing like sideline reporting. Yeah,
I think they're doing okay. I think they're all doing.
I think the family's pretty well off right now. Michael Jordan, I could also just watch a documentary where it's Michael looking at iPads of people that he's known throughout his life saying various things about him, making various statements, and just
drinking out of his tequila. Maybe it's just the next Last Dance is Michael Jordan drinking out of his tequila glass and then showing him like funny nutshot videos on the iPad and having him laugh, cackle. I'd watch that forever.
Yes, that's what Jimmy Kimmel should do instead of doing his Karl Malone impression, is just do the mean tweets segment, but it's for Michael Jordan, and give me 12 hours of Michael Jordan reading mean tweets about himself.
All right, so great documentary. I can't believe it went by so fast. I've been doing this thing in my head that if the coronavirus were the football season, we would be like, if the coronavirus were the college football season, we would be like almost at the end.
What do you mean?
Like we're week 10 now, week 11.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So
we'd have like 3 regular season games left.
Right. It's about.
I don't know why I'm doing that.
It's Thanksgiving week right now.
Yes, I keep doing that in my head where I'm like, man, think about it, if the coronavirus were the NFL season, we would already be past halfway.